Hello, everybody. Welcome to Smartcat webinar series. My name is Katya, and I'm an event marketing manager at Smartcat. Today, we're going to have a presentation by Jean-Luc Sayat about our new feature, which we have released just recently, the possibility to pay from company to company. Before we start, let me go through some organizational issues. Everyone's lines are muted to count down any noise, but we will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. And you can either put your questions in the question box, or you can just raise your hand and I will unmute yourself so we can ask your question personally to Jean-Luc. We are making the recording of this presentation and we will send it out tomorrow. So I think that's it. Let's start, Jean-Luc.
Okay, thank you for the introduction, Kate. So as Kate mentioned in this presentation, we are going to go over some new features that we've just added to Smartcat in recent updates. And those features have been added to facilitate cooperation between LSPs working on projects together, and in particular, how we facilitate now the payments between different companies. Now, for people who don't know me, just a couple of words about my own experience. I've been in the transition industry for the last 30 years, and I have seen a lot of changes in all those years. I've worked at every level of the process. You know, I've done some translation, although some people would argue it was not translation. I've done some project management, localization engineering, and also I even helped to develop technology and even owned my own LSP for a while. So, but let's just start with the presentation. Enough about myself. You know, you guys want to see the presentation. So if you've attended other Smartcat webinars, this next slide actually is going to look very familiar. We use it simply because we want to show you how we try to focus on trying to anticipate the changes that are affecting our industry in the coming years, and all the changes that we're making in the applications are with the goal of really helping, taking care of those changes. So if you've noticed, if you're looking at successful businesses in the world, they produce a lot of content. We have examples here, like, how many posts are, added on WordPress every day or every minute, and how many posts are added on Instagram, on WhatsApp, how many emails are being sent, so, if you look at the most successful company right now, they're actually becoming media companies. They use content to drive sales. They use content to drive marketing, to drive user engagement, and they even define user experience with new content. If you think about successful companies like, for example, Apple, Nike, and Microsoft, and I'm just naming American companies, there are many companies around the world, that do the same. They don't necessarily compete on features alone. They compete mostly on brand. If you look at like a big company like Apple, for example, what they sell you, they sell you a story. The brand is not just simply, oh, we have the best features, whatever, says they, you look at their ads or whatever, it's just like a story about like how good it is to have an Apple phone and things like that, so what it does actually is just basically drives the content economy, where there's more and more content being produced. Just to give you some example, if you look at a successful marketing campaign today, they might have so many different types of contents. They would have, for example, videos for social networks, would be like short clips that they can post on Twitter or whatever. They also have some audio files that they use on podcasts. They send tweets, they send pictures, with captions. And it's not just actually with the marketing that we see a change in the way that documents are created. Even technical documents right now are also created using content management systems. And that's really very different from what I used to process when I had my own business. We used to process large user manuals, and so when you would you would have a project that would last for a couple of weeks, a couple of months. More and more we see simply users translating a couple of pages at a time, just chunks of content, and those projects usually they might last only a couple of days. So now, in the problem that we're facing is that the industry is actually not necessarily ready to respond to how the content is being delivered. The tools and the processes that many companies are using might have been designed years ago, and they're actually being made obsolete in some cases by new processes. If you look at original content is being delivered in many different channels. We used to simply receive documents, via email or via the cloud, a cloud repository or whatever. But now you can see that content is being delivered in many more channels in many different forms. It's not just manuals, as I mentioned, lots of different formats. Now the delivery of content is also automated and it's happening in a continuous basis. And the point that we have is that when it comes to having this content in a multilingual form, the system really cannot necessarily keep up with the flow of content. I use the analogy of trying to build, water coming from a fire hose with buckets. Obviously that's going to take, it's impossible to keep up. So the point that we have is that the processes are disconnected from the source. And also many tasks that could be automated are still being done manually, which makes the processes expensive and also time consuming, and they cannot meet the shorter and shorter deadlines that customers are looking for. So if you also looked at, if you had presentations from Smartcat in the past, you've seen this graphic before. This is what we call connected translation. What we see is that you need many components to respond to the new demands of the market. You need connectors for those content management systems that are being used. You need more project management automation. You need some automated QA features and more. So now you're thinking at the moment is like, well, what does this have to do with payment? Well, the fact of the matter is that if you want to face the increased demands from the market, you want, possibly to even have more languages that are in demand. You want to be able to respond faster. You might not necessarily have the resource in-house yourself. So in many cases, you're going to find yourself working with other LSPs that will provide you possibly those languages that you don't have in your team already, or they can even help you also with the project management workload, rather than, working with many translators located around the world, which obviously requires project management resources. You might decide to work with an LSP, then it's going to take over some of that workload from your project management team. Now, actually, at this point, I will have Kate show you a quick poll. We would like to find out from people that are participating in these webinars if you are already working with other LSPs, for some of your projects, or for some other LSPs, because you could have, we can have people in this audience that are on both sides actually of the equation, receiving work from other LSPs and working with other LSPs on some projects. So Kate is actually showing you the poll right now. So if you could just answer the question, that would be great. We would appreciate it. And I'll give you some time to respond. This is good. I think people are moving. So just a couple more seconds and then we'll just close the poll, and move forward with the presentation.
Jean-Luc, I think we can close because
most
perfect. Of people already voted. Yeah, okay, I'm closing then. Thank you so much.
Thank you for participating. So now the question that people are going to have to answer also is that you're working with different LSPs, and those LSPs most likely will be not necessarily in your countries. You're going to work with companies that are going to be located anywhere around the world. Those are the facts of the market today. If you're looking for people to provide you more languages, you might be working with a company that's local. It's not going to be in your market necessarily. So what we've done at Smartcat is to add more and more features to facilitate the process. So you can see here with this little those little steps. The first steps has been to make it easier for you to find freelancers. With our marketplace, and also then we added our payment automation systems. And in that payment automation system, if you've used it already, you know we are using some convenient and cheap payment methods for the freelancers. It can really reduce their cost of transaction. But what we're doing now is we're going a little further, and we're going to add steps now to make it easy for you to find other LSPs to work with, or for other LSPs to find you, and also to pay those LSPs when you work with them, or to receive payments from them if you're working, you know, as a vendor. You know, so and in the end, what we're going to end up with is actually a unified workflow where hiring and paying freelancers or LSPs, you know, no matter how you choose to work, is going to be a seamless process. So with that objective in mind, we've recently updated our LSP marketplace. You know, we've made it actually much easier for companies to advertise their services to LSPs, and we also and also other end customers. And we made it also easier for an LSP or an end customer to find someone, you know, when you're facing more demanding projects. And then we'll see more details actually when we go through the demo that's going to follow this presentation. It's going to be probably the more interesting part of the presentation. So if when you're using these models, you might actually face some difficulties. So if you're working with companies that are located in other countries, that means that you're going to have to make some cross-border payments. Now, depending on where you're located, transaction costs can be high to make those payments. Also, in addition, you might also have to worry about some tax and legal processes. For example, I was talking 2 weeks ago to the owner of an LSP is located in Colombia, and he explained to me all the red tape that he had to deal with just to make cross-border payments. I mean, he explained to me that he had to, like, you know, pay taxes, other fees, whichever, and it was adding, I don't remember how much it was, like 20 or 30% to his payments. You know, so it's obviously not a viable solution moving forward. So that's one reason why we offer a solution at Smartcat. If you're working with different vendors, they might have different payment methods. It's going to also add to the workload on your team. You know, so that's those are really the difficulties you might face with this model. So what happens? What do we offer at Smartcat? First of all, we if you're already paying your translators using Smartcat, we know that we offer very low transaction fees, probably the lowest transaction fees on the market. So you can really save thousands of dollars to send and receive payments, or euros or yen or whatever is your favorite currency. You know? So just like when you're paying freelancers, we also take care of all the tax and legal paperwork. And just like when you pay freelancers, you just make one payment. So the idea moving forward is making one payment will allow you to pay freelancers and LSPs. You know, so you save time and you can actually focus on running your business. Here, I'm just gonna, this is gonna be part of the demo, but here we have a screenshot of the page, you know, where you can see that payments to freelancers or payments to companies are unified in one page. You know, so that's really the way that the system is gonna work. So now let's just go forward and move with the demo, the more important, interesting part of the presentation. And also, right here you can see on your account, if you want to have people find your company, or if you want to give more information about your company to people working with you, for example, you would go under your corporate profile, and you can see on the settings in Smartcat, you know, corporate profile page is right here. And then on this page, you'll be able to add information about yourself. You know, the first part of the first section of that page is at the top, you know, and if I click on the little edit button right here, you can upload the logo for your company. You can put information about your company name, and whatever you want to tell other people about yourself. And then choose the color for the background. And a very important button, actually, we had a question today from someone who said they weren't able to be seen on the marketplace, is because you actually have to activate it. You know, if you don't want to be on the LSP marketplace, don't activate it. If you want to be shown on the LSP marketplace, you simply activate by clicking on this button, and then people will be able to see you on the marketplace. One important factor on this screen also is that you should list all the services that you provide. So for example, you can see here, from English into German, this is a demo account. Obviously, when we say we provide, urgent translation, we provide expert translation that encompasses all three steps: translation, editing, proofreading, and we also provide empty post editing. All those with different prices. Although I'm not sure I would recommend that you use the same prices we show here, but it's actually quite important that you fill in that information quite completely. You actually don't have to put in the prices if you don't want to, but at least show the services that you provide. So when people are looking for a vendor, they would see it. They would see all the information from your company right there. Now, once you've entered all your services, then you will be visible in the vendor marketplace. So if I were to go to the vendor marketplace, I would go on the find a vendor, and then what we've done here is we've made a lot of changes. In the past, you were only able to search by name, but we've added a lot more fields. You can see on the right now, you can look for vendors that provide a certain source or target language, the services that they provide, if they have a specialty for a certain topic, and you can even go all the way down to finding vendors in a specific country and even a specific city, which could help you. For example, if you want someone to coordinate with you with a customer in a specific location, so we give you once again a lot more information on this page right here. Now, one thing is that what you can do on this page also is that once you found a vendor that matches, for example, your requirement, then you would have the option to see more information about this company, their location, how long they've been on Smartcat, the services that they provide. In some cases, this person is not listing any services, and then from this page, you could add this person. This person is already a vendor on our demo account, but if you see a vendor that you want to work with, you could just click on add as a vendor, and this person would be then added to your account as a vendor, and you will be then able to assign them tasks. And once they've been added as a vendor, you find the person you want to work with, and once again, there are a lot of people on this marketplace. Then they will appear in the My Vendor page. And on the My Vendor page, you will see all the vendors that have been associated with this account. Once again, this is a demo account, so we just keep on adding vendors just to show this feature, but once you've added vendor, you can even add more information about the vendor to help you actually communicate with them. You could put the name of a contact person, you could put their email address, their phone number, and if you're going to be using our payment systems to work with this vendor, we would also request that you put an email address for the person that's responsible for the accounting process at that vendor, so that we can exchange information and not waste any time going back and forth trying to find the proper person. What you can also do when you choose a vendor, when you pick a vendor to add to your team, is you can even give them access to some of the linguistic assets. So that could be important. For example, if you don't have enough project management resources on your team, so you just add one vendor, and they can do some translation, but also help you with the project management, and you can give them access to your glossaries and your translation memories. So that's one interesting option. Now, once you've added vendors to your account, then it makes it actually easy to go through the next steps. The next steps would be to, once I've created a simple project right here for the webinar. I have a project that covers multiple languages. It's English and French. There's one document to be translated. Then from there, I would have the option to then assign different tasks to different vendors, like I would do with freelancers. So if I click on my assign button, I'm just going to open the task, the window much quicker. As you can see here, I have English into Spanish and English into French, and I have a 3-step process. I have the option when I click on add assignee to not only assign a freelancer, but you see at the top of the list, there are companies, vendors that are on the account, and each vendor offers different services, and I can see which services are being offered, by each client. For example, here I see this demo vendor offers transition editing, SD123, which is also a demo vendor, offers transition editing and proofreading. So if I were to assign, for example, English into Spanish, to this vendor right here, and then click on Save Assignment, then what's going to happen is that every single task is going to be assigned to this vendor. So it makes the assignment of task much easier. And you can see now for the other language, I still have the possibility to assign this task to another vendor, for example, or to assign it to an individual translator. So the idea is really to give you a lot more flexibility on how you assign a task. So now if I were to cancel this assignment right here of this company, I could, for example, only assign the task of translation. For example, here, or they do transition editing, the demo vendor just assign transition editing to this task, and that would leave me the option then to assign, proofreading to someone else, because that company doesn't offer proofreading. I could assign the proofreading to a freelancer. So the idea really of the new assignment task was to facilitate you working in a mixed model when you can work with some LSPs for some tasks, and you can also keep on adding freelancers if you want to keep on working with different freelancers. So the conclusion to this process is then, okay, you've assigned tasks, everybody's working, the problem. So then how do we pay our vendors once they've done some projects? And this is going to be where I'm going to take you to the payments tabs. At the moment, you're probably familiar with the process. If you pay your freelancers using Smartcat, as freelancers perform jobs inside the platform, whether it be translation, editing, or proofreading, then those payments, those tasks are being added automatically in the payment tabs under my job page. And you can see we have all kinds of jobs that have been done. Those are basically mostly our salespeople, when they make presentations, so they keep on adding jobs, but this is done automatically. As a translator completes a task in Smartcat, then that task is added automatically into the jobs page, and then you can decide to pay them. Now, we also give you the opportunity now to actually make payments to another LSP using the same process. Now, at the moment, the process is not automated in a sense that when an LSP completes a task inside of Smartcat, this task is not added automatically in the jobs page. This is part of our roadmap, where we're going to end up with a unified process where no matter who does the task, the task is automatically added to the jobs page. But there are some things that we still need to complete in the applications to do that. But in the meantime, you have a couple options to add jobs that have been done by your LSPs and LSPs that you want to pay using Smartcat. The first option is that if you're working with a limited number of people, you can click on Add Supplier Job here. And then it would be the same that if you were to add a freelancer job, the supplier right here, I could simply, find a vendor. This is a vendor, this is not a freelancer, so it's another LSP. You can see there's a little actually factory logo next to it, icon next to it, and then just fill in, the type of services that this company did for you, just like, a project name, and then just like, for example, how many words they have done, for example, 2,500 words, and just like, once again, just sample, words, at, for example, 15 cents per word, so you can also you can add more information about your own process here, so I could have like, for example, PO number, and then when the job was completed, it was completed on the 8th of August, click on create. And here you go. I can either go ahead and create an invoice to pay this LSP, or if I want to pay more people at the same time, click on go to job, and you can see that another job was added here. If you need more information about the job, you can here go on the job details and remember what task was done, and then how many words did you pay at what rate, But so once you've added all that information, then that payment is going to become part of your jobs page, and you'll be able to pay it together with other transactions. It could be a freelancer or another LSP. You make all those payments together. I could select all, and then I would pay, for example, in this case, pay all three vendors with just one payment. That's really the advantage of the system. Now, if you have a lot of companies that you want to pay. At the same time, you can also go in the import page, and we have modified our template, now to include a where you can describe if you're paying a freelancer or if you're paying a company. So the template is really an Excel spreadsheet. You download the Excel spreadsheet, you fill in the information for the people you want to pay, the task, the an email to be contacted, the name of the company, and then when you finish, you upload that Excel spreadsheet into Smartcat. We process it on our side, and then those tasks will be added to the jobs page. So you will find in once again the same position where you once you have a certain day of the month, or after a certain number of days after the task has been completed, select the payments that you want to make, and once again you can make as many payments as you want or as few payments as you want. Select them all and then click on create invoice and pay, and this will automatically create an invoice that will be listed in your invoice page, where you'll then have an option to pay Smartcat, for us to process the payments. And you can pay either via invoice, you can download a PDF file that will have all the banking information that you need to make the payments, or you can pay using a credit card where there's an added fee for the convenience. But other than that, that is all you have to do. If you pay 10 LSPs and 50 translators, or you pay one LSP and 100 translators, it doesn't matter. You just make one payment to Smartcat, and we pay everybody else using, their preferred methods of payments. Now, if you are on the other side and then you are the LSP that is actually being paid, then when you're being paid using Smartcat, the money will actually appear in your balance. So you will see here that a certain amount of money will appear, once the payment has been received from the LSP that contracted you, and then you will have multiple options from the balance. You'll be able to use this money and pay your own freelancers. So you're using your own freelancers. So you will have also people on your jobs page that you need to pay. So instead of, for example, sending a payment to Smartcat, you can simply, use this money that is in your balance and then pay the freelancers on the marketplace that you've used. You save a transaction right there. It's convenient. And what you can also do is that, obviously, if you want to use the money for other expenses, is you can just withdraw the money from your account by clicking on this withdraw from balance button, which will bring up another page, and you say how much money you want to withdraw from your balance, and then this money will be transferred to your account using your preferred payment method. So those are really the options, that you have to start using the payment systems between companies in Smartcat. So I think at the moment, maybe we can, Kate, start going with some questions, if people have some questions already.
Yes, let's check. Yes, we do. We have, is your transaction fee a flat rate or based on cost of project? From Michelle, question.
Okay, the transaction fee is actually fixed, and the transaction fee would be we have to talk about two different things. There's a processing fee for payments, and the processing fee for payments that Smartcat assesses. For example, you want to make 20 payments, and we assess a processing fee on top of that. That processing fee is exactly the same that you would have when you pay freelancers. So it doesn't matter if you're paying freelancers or LSP, so that would be the same. Now, transaction costs will vary depending on the payment methods that the person chooses. Like, for example, freelancers, they can choose from different payment methods. They can choose to receive wires, or they can choose to provision a debit card, whichever, and all of those have different fees. Receiving wire in some cases can be completely free. For example, if they're in the USA or Europe, where we use ACH or SEPA. And then in some cases, it's going to be $1, $2, or up to $3, but never more than $3. They can choose to use PayPal, but then PayPal takes a certain percentage. So, in a sense, the fees will vary based on the cost of the projects. When we talk about the processing fee, but for transaction costs, it could be completely independent of the cost of the project.
Thank you. Okay, one more question. Is this LSP payment method also synced with Plunet integration?
Well, if you actually track payments to LSPs in Plunet, you know that today it's actually possible to export data from Plunet and import it into Smartcat. So I think it's going to be mostly based on how you enter the information on your Plunet account. You know, if you enter the information of the money that you owe to your vendors in Plunet, like you do for your freelancers, then you will be able to export the data as well, import it inside of Smartcat. But if you have, we can go deeper into these questions. You can send us an email, and we can examine the data that you export from Plunet and see if there are any changes that we need to make on how we work with Plunet. But at the moment, this is my understanding. So.
Mm-hmm. One more question. Is the company-to-company payment available now? We have had an LSP vendor that used the company card and the payment was not successful.
Company-to-company payment is available today. You can see already that I showed you the way it works inside of a Smartcat. So if you're having problem making payments, you can contact your maybe your customer success manager might be able to help you, or customer support. You know, but the feature is already available in the system. Absolutely, it's live at the moment.
Okay. Ray, you're asking for a recording. Don't worry, we will send it out tomorrow to everybody who registered. What is Plunet? The question is, what is Plunet?
Okay, Plunet is actually a transition management system that people use to assist, with their project management and their vendor management.
One more question, and from Amit. And the recent updates done in tax section of Smartcat will allow us to configure different taxes and LSP account as well?
Okay, I'm not entirely certain what you mentioned, but here you can see that we offer the options for companies to have different tax entities for their to make payments and to receive payments. So it could happen. I know it happens with we work with some companies in South America. For example, they create a legal entity in the USA as well, where they can receive payment from their customers, because it makes it easier for their customers, to pay them, as a US company, and also it's cheaper for them to receive the money. So we give the options for companies that want to use Smartcat to make payments to give us the details. For payout, obviously we need to know who's making the payments. We need this tax information, but you also have the option to have a different entity to receive the money for whichever reason you want. Once again, could be the convenience for your customers, or maybe to reduce the transaction cost. So, but this is really what we have in Smartcat at the moment. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, one more question. Is there a report we can export detailing all the LSPs and freelancers we have paid?
At the moment, it is not possible to export a report, but obviously that information is tracked. It stays in your account. We don't delete the information whatsoever. So you'll be able to see all the payments that you've made for LSPs and companies. I imagine that eventually we will make it possible to export a report. At the moment, it's not there, but this is also a suggestion you can add. You can send to your customer success manager, as a feature that you would like to see. Same thing with invoices. Every invoice that you've made, is tracked in the system. We don't delete those invoices, so you always have the possibility to download the invoices. And the invoices themselves, contain the list of all the jobs that have been paid. So you also have that available when you, if you want to track back the payments that you've made.
Mm-hmm. Okay, more questions? Let me ask a question in the meantime. For example, if I'm an LSP and I hired some other LSP for the job to be done, but I did it outside Smartcat and probably the job wasn't done on Smartcat, can I pay to this LSP with Smartcat?
Yes, it's definitely it's possible. It's not a problem. The only thing that the other LSP will have to do is to create a Smartcat account as an LSP. They don't have to list it in the marketplace of LSPs if they don't want to. So our customer support team can simply add then that LSP as a vendor to your account, and then you'll be able to make payments to them, and then they will have access to the balance feature when they can withdraw the money that is owed to them. So it's absolutely possible. There's no need for them to work in Smartcat. You don't have to work in Smartcat, to pay other LSPs. All you simply need to do is both of you have a Smartcat account, but the work can be done outside of Smartcat. But once the two accounts are connected, you as a vendor or them as a vendor, whichever, then you can process payments using Smartcat. There's absolutely not a problem there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. More questions? I don't see. Actually, I have a question to the audience. Maybe. Oh yes, we have one more question. So, if I have a team members that are not in the Smartcat marketplace, I pay via the platform.
You can, yes, if you have team members that are not Smartcat marketplace, you can pay them via the platform. Yes. You don't have to, obviously, if you work with your own translators, you can keep on paying your own translators the way you pay them. You bring them to your Smartcat account, you work with them, they're not in the marketplace, it's not a problem. But you have the option to pay them either outside of the platform or on the platform. Obviously, we believe it's better, to pay them using the platform, because it's in many cases much cheaper to pay them using the Smartcat payment system. But yes, it is an option that you have, not to pay them using the platform, but you can certainly pay them using the platform as well. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one more. Not sure if it is already asked, but if I understand correctly, we are not actually sending money or receiving money from our business partners, but from to Smartcat. Is this correct? Then German VAT does not play any role. However, if not, then how is VAT handled?
Okay, so the VAT, the way it works, and I'm sure most of it understand that, is only for domestic transactions. So if someone is outside, I mean, until the EU starts maybe to implement a unified VAT for all the countries, but if you're a company, you're located in Germany, for example, and you pay another vendor that's also located in Germany, then that vendor will have to assess VAT on a transaction. Now, if you use Smartcat as a platform, the payment that you're going to make is not going to be made to a German entity. It's going to be made to an entity outside of Germany, in which case there's absolutely no need to assess the VAT. And then your vendor is also going to get paid from from an entity that is also outside of Germany. I mean, I'm using Germany in this case because this is what you mentioned, So, but the entire transaction, there's not going to be any domestic transactions whatsoever. So VAT doesn't enter into the equation. You're paying an entity that's outside of your own country, and then your vendor is receiving money from an entity that's outside the country. So you actually limit the amount of VAT paperwork that is needed. I know I remember I used to have my own business in Spain. We don't have VAT in the USA, so people don't understand the concept, but I had a company in Spain, and really honestly, dealing with VAT was really a hassle. My accountant used to spend hours at the end of the year, just to go through all the paperwork, even like little receipts from the gas station or the restaurant, whatever. So, but by using the system, a system like Smartcat to make your payments, and you can avoid all those VAT, I would say, inconvenience.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. No questions? No, we don't have. Let's wait for. Actually, what I wanted to ask is that when we did the poll, half of the attendants answered that they never paid, they are not paying to other LSPs. They're not hiring, I mean, other LSPs. So I really wanted just to know why do you join this webinar because you wanted to have this opportunity, or maybe you have thoughts about this before, but something stopped you? Maybe the complicated process stopped you, or what? Just interesting if you can comment on that.
Mm-hmm. There's also one more question I see, Kate, that says, like, just to double check, when we pay one individual or LSP,
Yeah, I
we
see.
pay the same charge as we pay multiple. That's correct. with the processing fee is a fixed, percentage. It doesn't matter how many transactions you have. If you pay one freelancer, if you pay 1,000 freelancer, the processing fee is going to be exactly the same. There's no change, So obviously the amount drives the cost of the fee, but not the number of transactions. Yes. Sorry, Kate.
It's okay. And I just wanted to remind that you can also ask your question in person. Just let me know. Will unmute you, because maybe sometimes it's really hard to explain in a short question what you wanted to ask. Okay. Well, I think we have enough questions. However, if you have more, Jean-Luc, please, can you show the last slide, because there's
Yes.
your
Yes.
email,
Yep.
so
Absolutely.
you can always,
Mm-hmm.
please, yes, this one. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so maybe then we should finish, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so thanks everybody. Thanks for your time. And oh, wait, we have more question. One more question. I see one more. Oh, no, it's just thanks. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, for your participation. I will just ask you, when we close this presentation, you will see the post-webinar survey. It will take you just less than 1 minute to answer quick questions, but it will help us to become better for you. So again, thank you. Have a nice day, or have a nice evening to those who are in Europe. Jean-Luc, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. Have a good rest of the day.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.